Broadcasting, the boisterous part of the fastest game in the world. So strap on your lids and lace them up, Rook. You're listening to the Barn Chirpers Hockey Podcast. Take it up! Clap it up, boys. Clap it up. Justin with the Rasmus Dahlin home blue sweater. I am loving it, my friend. Considering I know what that sweater is like in real life, you look good. You look good, baby.
These are tremendous. It was everything that I was hoping it would be and some.
Yeah.
TV, strangely enough, doesn't do it justice. When you put it on, you're like, oh my God, like it's everything.
That's what I was telling you. And the what you call it, the streamers or the lines on the sleeves are just, I can't even explain it, but they're just like, they're top tier, man. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like, what a flair for a sweater.
And plus I got the nice little A here.
Got that Letta. Yeah. I mean, we know Tage is going to be the captain. I wish I would have just given it to him this year, but anyway, it's fine. It's fine. When they give it to him next year, I'll get the murder goat, the black murder goat in a Tage or maybe a Tucky. I don't know. We'll see. But that's a whole other conversation. Hey, we are the Barn Chirpers. You can chirp at us at Barn Chirpers Pod as well on the threads. I'm not sure what it is, but you guys do. But we're at Barn Chirpers Pod there. So like, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening and or watching. If it's the YouTube, same thing. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a foe. We're here for all of your hockey news. And speaking of which, Justin, the Sharks finally win a game last night. And how fitting it is beating the Philadelphia Flyers.
I woke
the battle of the toilet bowl.
Yeah, I woke up to, I don't know, like 3 or 4 texts between you and Corey. He took it in stride, to be fair. I guess as a Philly fan, you kind of have to. I'm surprised that it was Philly only because Philly's played pretty well this year. Like, a few blowouts aside, they've played hard in most of their contests, and to go out to San Jose and drop one. I mean, here's the only things I could think of. The Sharks have looked like the Sharks like the last week and a half, like just getting annihilated out there.
Yeah,
and maybe they're like, all right, right. So like maybe they're like, okay, got to put the foot down and show what's up. I mean, we've been singing the praises of the Sharks, other than last week, like how hard they've been coming out and playing. They just don't have the talent to get it done. Apparently, talent matches Phillies. And the Sharks just wanted it more last night. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, your boy Mackenzie Blackwood stood in his head. So he's not a bad goalie. Like you said, we've been singing the praises. Like, he's a solid goaltender. He just doesn't have a team in front of him to show his strengths, right? So he has to stand on his head. And to your point, I'm actually surprised Philly only got the 1 goal. I mean, again, I just gave praises to Blackwood for standing on his head, but yeah, like you said, Philly's been playing hard, and they've allowed 5 goals a couple of times so far in their season. The Flyers have. They've only allowed the 6 goal mark that one time against the Anaheim Ducks, or excuse me, the 7 goal mark against the Anaheim Ducks. They scored the most on the Flyers. They do play hard, and I was joking on Corey naturally because that's what I do. I was like, man. I wonder how infuriated Torts was to lose to the Sharks. Not only that, I bet you he bag skated the Flyers after that game in the Shark Tank. Like, you don't take your gear off. Don't take your gear off. You're going back out there. We're bag skating because you guys suck.
Well, again, for sure, like the Sharks aren't going to lose 82 games. We know that. Somebody's got to take that first L. But
yeah, they'll get a couple more.
For sure. But Torts is not happy about being the first one. There's no way he's good with like the. Unfortunately, again, I hate to keep echoing this point. The Sharks have played hard for the roster that they have, but they're historically bad right now. Like, if you look at the plus minus, if you look at the record, like how long it took to get that, they're historically bad. Possibly the worst team in the history of the NHL right now. So That's what Philly
Could
lost
be.
to.
Yeah,
And
could be.
yeah, I don't think Philly is that bad. But that they played on the ice, Joe. You got to go out on the ice. You got to do the thing. You got to win the games. You got to the puck. You got to score the puck.
That's it, Justin. That is exactly it. So, Justin, we didn't talk about this before the show, but pass or shoot, Justin. So the record is only 8 wins. That's the record for the least amount. It's not a record you want. The Washington Capitals in 75 had 8 wins in their season. That's the worst of all time.
Yuck.
So pass or shoot, Justin. San Jose Sharks, less than 8 wins this year.
I think the way they played, I think that's safe. I think, I mean, the smart money would be push, but I think I'm shooting there. I think I'm taking the shot. I think again, they've played hard, but if you can't score goals, and who do they have to score goals with? More on this soon, but like we're talking injuries today, like some of their goal scorers are hurt. So who's gonna, and you got to imagine their sellers with what few pieces they do have come the trade deadline. I gotta shoot. Again, smart money says push at 8, but I'll shoot. I'm going less than 8. What about you, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, they're gonna get a couple. They're gonna get a couple here and there. They're gonna surprise some people for sure. But dang, dude. I don't know if they can get to 8. Truly. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna say they're gonna get 10. So they're not gonna be the worst team of all time, but they're going to be second. And I take that back. Like there's a couple of defunct teams that had less wins, but we're not really counting those. The Philadelphia Quakers, go figure, 30-31, had only 4 wins, but that wasn't an 82-game season. The Pittsburgh Pirates, not the baseball team, but the hockey team, of 29-30 had 5 wins. Again, that wasn't 82 games. In 1920, that's 1919 for all you kids, not 2019. The Quebec Bulldogs had 4 wins. Again, that wasn't an 82-game season. So there is some other teams that have less wins, but not in an 82-game season. So I'm going to pass that and say the Sharks will get to at least 10 wins. So the Caps are still going to have the worst record of all time. But who knows? This team, it's looking pretty bad, Justin. I must say that for sure. They just need to score some goals. And you know who has scored some goals, Justin? Once again, he scores another hat trick. Austin Matthews, Justin. He disappears for 7 games, and then he comes back and scores a hat trick. Go figure that would happen. And of course, wouldn't you know it, here's the superstar update. Austin Matthews, 12 games played, 13 goals, 5 assists, 18 points, plus 4. So, hey, listen, he's got more than a point per game in overall. But again, I want to remind everybody why I chirp Austin Matthews, because he went from scoring a hat trick on October 14th to having 1 point for almost 3 weeks. And then he shows up and scores a goal on November 2nd. Scores a hat trick on November 3rd, and then gets 2 more on November 6th. So most of these games, let's see, that was a loss. So that was 4 losses where Austin Matthews didn't show up. So
imagine that.
Superstar?
Question mark?
You scored another hat trick, buddy. Good for you. But guess what? Your team lost. So you're supposed to be the guy to carry the team. So superstar, question mark. I think not. That's been your first superstar update of the day, which means there might be more.
There might be more.
This just in.
All right. Do you want to jump into 3 stars of the week here? At the top.
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. Let's do that. So let's do that. So Justin, I want to I'll take this one in the sense that because I want to give you the first one that we talked about. But listen, Cam Talbot, Justin, of the Los Angeles Kings, two very important things that I just said there. The Los Angeles Kings, number one, and Cam Talbot. And Talbot has been on a tear. He has won 4 games in a row. Talbot's won 5 games in a row. Talbot, 5 games in a row. .948 save percentage. Only 7 goals against, 2.34 goals against average, and 1 shutout in those 5 games. For Cam Talbot, Justin.
Look at him go. And I mean,
he's our third star of the game of the week.
We are definitely a Tendy pod, and the fact that he's the first Tendy to get a star of the week for us is insane. But he's earned it. The Kings aren't like being world beaters right now, but they're going out there and they're winning hockey games. And Cam Talbot's a big reason.
But
I mean,
I'm going to interrupt you for that. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. To that same point, because I thought the same thing. Like, they haven't been destroying the world, but in their last 10 games, they lost the first game, and the last 10, they're 7-1-2. That's a dang good record, but they're not destroying teams, like, to your point. So I was surprised to see that too. I honestly thought when I went and looking at the stats to prepare for the show, I was like, oh, they're probably 500. What? They're 7-1-2 in their last 10. So, I mean, their record is 7-2-2. They started the year off with a loss, and now they've gone on this streak essentially. So I was very surprised by that. Please continue after I cut you off.
Well, we thought going in, and you can go back and listen to our LA episode, or the episode that LA is, that they would be a playoff team just because they still have the talent available, but they'd probably be mediocre. They bring in PLD, who superstar check maybe later, but and they bring in Cam Talbot, and we thought, Talbot's a decent keep if he can stay on the ice, and here he is staying on the ice, and it is kind of cool. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I have a very love-hate relationship with the Los Angeles Kings. But to see a guy like Talbot go there and kind of re-energize his career, and again, you like to see, even though Los Angeles has been good for like a decade at this point, they haven't been like the upper end for like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So to see them, maybe making those plays to where they're not a one and done in the playoffs this year, that'd be kind of cool. We always love seeing the new names emerge, or old names reemerge in new places. So I'm for it. And I can't believe Cam Talbot is our first goalie to get a one of the 3 stars of the week. It's wild. It's crazy.
Considering how much we talk about, guys like Otter and Saros. Obviously, Vasilevsky hasn't played, so we can't really talk about him. But yeah, it is interesting, and I wouldn't necessarily say I have a love-hate with Cam Talbot. I do kind of have a soft spot for him, being that he was on the Wild. Same way with Fiala. Like, that's really the only reason why I pay any attention to the LA Kings. I don't really care much for them otherwise, but I love Fiala, and I have a soft spot for Cam Talbot. So I do kind of like to see it. I like to see a guy that is kind of, I don't necessarily know if you can say passed over, but I suppose we kind of have passed over him as well. Yeah. Like you said in our LA episode, we kind of questioned that signing by LA. Like, Cam Talbot, again, I just said I have a soft spot for him, but looking at what he's done, like, he's never really emerged as that number one guy. He's always kind of been 1A, 1B-ish, maybe. He's never been the guy you can count on. But, 5 wins in a row, he's kind of taking that spot, like stamping that as, this is my spot. So, I love to see that. Oh, wait, this is – Yep. This just in. This actually just in. So, superstar question mark segment here. Part number 2 already. We're only 15 minutes into the show. Pierre-Luc Dubois, as we know, has signed that 8-year, $8 million contract with the LA Kings. Here's your stats, Justin, for the current Pierre-Luc Dubois. 11 games played, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points, 0. So no, he's just even. He's even on his plus minus. So, okay. All right. So, as we just mentioned, the Kings have won 5 in a row. All right. So, let's look back at these last 5 games here, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So, PLD has scored 2 points in those 5 games. Okay. And like I said, he's an even on the plus minus. He's literally gone -1 +1, -1 +1, -1 +1. Okay. All right. Great. Sounds like a superstar there. Let's see. He's had 4 penalty minutes in those 5 games, so he's really helping the team out there. His shots, Justin, he has 4 shots taken in 5 games. And his time on ice, let's see, 18 minutes, 17 minutes, 16 minutes, so 17, 14. So he's averaging about 15-ish minutes on the ice, and he's taking 1 shot a game, and he has 2 points. Is that a superstar to you, Justin?
No, it sounds like a guy just going out for a nice skate once every couple of days.
Is that worth $8 million to you?
So again, let's circle this. We had questions about both the Cam Talbot and PLD signing, right? But we thought Talbot was more like, can he stay on the ice? He's aging, like those were the questions as opposed to like his actual ability. Cam Talbot is the better signing than the $8 million man.
Yeah, because Talbot has a $1 million contract. The Kings are only spending $2 million on their goalies. So, yeah.
Oh my God. When you said 4 shots in that span, he's literally going out there for a skate. Like
4.
he's just
one shot a game, Justin. He didn't even take any shots the last game. No shots. How do you take no shots?
And the team's doing well.
No shots.
And the team's doing
Good
well.
Good thing they don't need him to do anything. You know what I mean?
God, I wonder if they're wishing they spent that $8 million anywhere else, like maybe defense or something.
Literally anywhere else. Like literally anywhere else. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, you could. I haven't looked back at all their what the final scores were on all those past 5 games, but I know they got a shutout in the last game. But yeah, maybe that $8 million could have been spread around to a couple more goal scorers. But anyway, let's move on away from this. But again, props to Cam Talbot. I hope he continues it. I know we got off on that tangent with the superstar check-in question mark. Yeah. Let's move on, please.
All right. So our second star of the week is an entire team. And we love doing this because we love to give nods to teams who are performing better than we expected. And it's the Anaheim Ducks, man. They're going out there and they're playing hockey. They're going out there and playing hockey. They lost last night to Pittsburgh 0-2, but looks like maybe one of those goals was an empty netter because Gibson only gave up 1.
Yeah, so that was empty netter. Yep.
Yeah, so they played Pittsburgh tough. They beat Vegas in regulation. When was this? Let's see. Last night was Tuesday, so Sunday night.
Sunday night. Yeah.
And John Gibson again in net for that one. 2 goals against, and they win 4-2. They came from behind in that one too. They were down, I think 3-0 going into the third, and they put up 3. And I turned it on with 5 minutes left, and I saw the go ahead, and then I saw the empty netter. And look, man, that's a team that just did not give up, and the Ducks have far outperformed. Again, this was one of those teams where who are they? We didn't know at all going in. Can they keep this up? That's the question. Who knows? But who cares? This last week, the Anaheim Ducks are a great story for the NHL, and they're doing it without Trevor Zegras, which is insanity. So props to the Ducks.
Yeah. Imagine if Zegras actually becomes a good hockey player this season and starts to score like he's supposed to, like he wanted to get all that money and score. Imagine if he actually shows up and does what he's supposed to do. That's going to be moons in a way great for the Ducks. I mean, we got guys like we talked about, Frank the Tank showing up. Mason McTavish is showing up. Troy Terry. I mean, Alex Killorn just came back off IR from that hand injury back in the preseason. Once he starts to heat up, he's easily going to get you 25 to 30 goals. So, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to this Ducks team heating up. And you had mentioned John, the old Gibber there. So 7 games started. He has 2 wins. He's 2-4. But GAA, 2.41 goals against average, 921 save percentage. He is currently right now, I mean, again, it's very, very small sample size. We talked about this in our episode that for the preview. He's essentially where he was during those good years back in 17, 18, 19, when he was well above 920s in his save percentage. So not only that, Lucas Dostal, I don't know if you've seen that kid, the rookie, play at all, but he's owning his spot in the net too. He has 5 wins this year.
Yeah, man. Like they've got a nice tandem out there. Actually, I was trying to snag Dostal, but Corey picked him up last week. I did snag Gibson though. Somehow Gibson was still available in our league. I was like, all right, I'll take that guy.
Yeah, but I'll take that.
But I mean, again, it just goes to show you, like at the beginning of the year, it's the Ducks. You assume they're going to go out there and they're going to lay eggs. Heyo. But they're going out there and they're playing hockey. You got to play the game. You have to get on the ice. And that's where the hockey is won and lost. And the Ducks made some moves in the offseason, and you and I were like, this is intriguing. I can't wait to see what's going on. And here it is, showing up on the ice, man. I hope they can keep up this pace, and I hope they can make a push into the playoffs. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know what? Again, we say it all the time, but just having those new teams, and again, Anaheim was, the dynasty conversation back, 10 years ago, winning a cup. They were kind of on the verge of that. So they've been there before, but to kind of see that reemerge with this new group of young kids, really, I think is good for hockey, truly. While Anaheim a hockey market, that's a whole other conversation that we can have another time on this show. But again, it's good for hockey to have new teams and new faces showing up. And then just to give Dostal his props real quick. Again, I said 5 wins, so he's 5-1, 2.8 goals against, and 920 save percentage. So again, this tandem, it looks like Dostal's kind of been the number 1A guy, which is great too, because we know Gibber has been standing on his head for way too many years all alone. So we love to see that. So stick taps to the Anaheim Ducks, number 2 star of the week. And I know technically this would be mine, Justin, but I'm going to pose this question to you. If I told you, 10, 11, 12-ish games into this 2023, 2024 season, if I told you that there is a team that has a plus 30 goal differential, meaning that they have scored the most goals thus far of any team in this league so far, do you think I would have said the Vancouver Canucks were that team?
No. Not in a million years. Not in a million years
Justin,
would we have either of us.
Well, Justin, the Vancouver Canucks have a plus 30 goal differential. They are scoring goals at will. And of course, they did put up 10 against the San Jose Sharks, and they did put up 8 against the Edmonton Oilers. But that was early on in the season, and this has now been another week or so past. They are destroying the competition, scoring goals at will. And while they are the 3rd best team in the league by standings, they own that spot at plus 30 goal differential. And I love to see it.
Dude, you and I were texting back and forth actually over the last week, just kind of like Vancouver. Like, I love it, man. They were a big question mark going in, because we were like, there's nothing exciting here. Like, what is there to talk about? Yeah. We were wrong. They have come out
way wrong,
and they have been firing on all cylinders. And it's like, when in my notes for the week, I was singling out Pettersson because he's scoring at a good clip, but so is Quinn Hughes, so is Brock Besser. and Demko is looking good in net. So it's a team effort. It is truly a team effort that they are just going out there and winning hockey games. And we talked about a couple weeks ago, like they're at that point where 500 hockey still gets them into the playoffs at this point. They've won enough games, have enough points already that 500 hockey is going to get them in the playoffs.
Well, again, not only that, we touched on it last week about getting these important points right off the bat early on in the season, because you have teams that essentially were ahead of them. Edmonton was ahead of them. Calgary was ahead of them last year in the Pacific. Both those teams are terrible right now. So you can get so far ahead in the standings that, like you said, yeah, you could end up playing 500 hockey from Thanksgiving on, and you're probably going to make a playoff spot, which is great. So they're doing it, man. I'm glad that we're finally, and we've talked about this a lot with the gaslighting Vancouver Canucks. So I hope that this doesn't turn the opposite now, where we've talked about it before, that they start terrible and then they gaslight us to thinking that they're going to be a good team towards the end of the year. I hope it doesn't switch now where they start out great and then tank. But I don't know. There's something about this year and just talk, coaching them up. I think that I'm not saying that they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but I do really think now my opinion has changed from our preseason, where they very well could snag a playoff spot this year. So, and I'm here for it. We talk about new teams all the time, so I'd love to see it.
And again, to point to the fact that they're not boring. They're going out there, they're scoring goals, they're playing quality hockey. So it's not like, oh, they're just playing, poor teams and they're just beating up on the bad end of the league, which may or may not be true. But so you got to win the games on the ice. You have to win, and they're winning, and they're scoring goals. So I'm for it.
Well, again, to that very same point, yeah, like, okay, yeah, you win the games that you're supposed to win, and maybe take a split between the good teams. You might win one game and they win the other game. So again, yeah, they played a bad team, the San Jose Sharks. They murdered them, put 10 goals on the board. They played a team like Edmonton, who has arguably the two best players in the league on the same team, and they murdered them twice. So That's saying a lot for this team to be able to do that. Again, you beat the bad teams and you beat the crap out of the good teams too. I mean, hey man, like you said, you got to play the games that are in front of you, but they're doing it. And I want to give Thatcher Demko his flowers as well, because deservedly so. 9 games played, 7 wins, 2 shutouts, Justin, 1.61 goals against average, a 948 save percentage. And while if you look at the stats the NHL puts out for league leaders, Thatcher Demko is further down on the list. But with the amount of games played, he is the best goalie in the league right now. He's going to be a little bit lower on the list because Johnny Quick had 2 starts and he has 1.61 goals against average or whatever it is. So like Johnny Quick's above him. Jeremy Swayman is above him. Those guys haven't played nearly as many games as Thatcher Demko has. So Thatcher Demko, you're hearing it here first on this show. He is definitely the best goalie in the league right now. And I can't remember exactly what we said in our Vancouver episode. I think we said he was going to have a bounce back year, or we were hoping for it. So far, so good for Thatcher Demko.
Yeah, and especially coming off the injury last year. And so he's been on the ice. And, sometimes, Joe, sometimes that's all it takes is staying on the ice and not being injured, which takes us to our first line.
What a segue.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to, but it was right there. So the injury bug is starting to hit pretty hard. I don't know. So I pulled up ESPN has NHL injury status. And I mean, really it has everybody's. I don't know if there was like teams you wanted to focus in on, like a team like Minnesota, who's playing pretty terrible hockey right now. Their 3 big injuries here are Frederick Gaudreau, Jared Spurgeon, Alex Goligoski. I don't know how much that plays into like how terrible they're playing. Nashville, I just saw this. Cody Glass just went on the IR last week. Cody Glass has been like a really good scorer for Nashville. But look, man, there's more to talk about with other players, and I'll get your thoughts on this because obviously I'm a homer here. Two
Naturally.
huge ones
That's okay.
from my guys. Nico Heischer has officially day to day now, so like he might be back soon. But our second line center Jack Hughes, actually technically I think he's top line, or he was top line at time of injury, out indefinitely, not IR, but Jackie Hughes is out on a week to week basis is what we know right now. That's major, man. Like our two top centers are out to injury, and we lose a game we shouldn't have lost to St. Louis, where Jackie goes down. Two empty netters makes the 4-1 look worse, and we lose last night to Colorado 6-4. Again, without our top two centers, I can give my perspective here that 6-4 to Colorado without Heischer, without Jack Hughes is not the end of the world. But as somebody who's looking at the Devils, without the rose-colored glasses, what do those two injuries mean to you from the outside?
Yeah, I mean that's big. I mean, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I mean, Jackie was on a tear of a pace to start this year. I mean, he was one of the top league leaders, if not the league leader in points scored. Correct?
20
so
points.
that's a big loss. And then, yeah, I mean that's a big loss for the squad. I mean, I do think that you can look at the bright side of that. Like it leaves that spot open for guys to step up and, take charge and, kind of put the team on their back while, Jackie is out and while Cap is out. But it's definitely not going to be an easy task with your top two centers out. Just having one out is bad enough. So, I think it really comes down to that. Guys just have to step up. And that sounds really simple, but I mean, a guy like Timo Meier, this is your time to step up, bud, because make your money now. Truly, make your money. I don't know if you want to talk about confidence or anything like that with Timo, but it's Timo time. Like, step the F up. Truly, this is now the time, because if you do that, if you put the team on your back and you step up and you show that you're worth that $8 million, well, guess what, man? You're going to kind of solidify your top line spot once those guys come back. Obviously, he was playing on the top line anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, we need a leader. Your guys are down right now. Who else is going to step up? I mean, Dougie? Yeah, maybe. He's a veteran, but Dougie doesn't strike me as like the put the team on your back kind of guy. He's a solid player, but he doesn't strike me as a leader. I mean, who else? Sivo is gone, so you don't have that leadership. Who else is going to do it? So let's go, Timo. I mean, Hala's a solid piece too, but I don't necessarily know that he has the pull to put the team on his back. Like, a good, solid player, but Timo, you're the guy. So I need you to step up.
Guy. Yeah, and I mean, to that point, he did score a goal last night. So like, it's not like he hasn't had that goal explosion yet. And was it not this week, but the week before he had five apples. So like, he's there, but now he was just getting into the groove of being on Jack's line, and now you take Jack away again. Like, that's no excuse. You're getting paid $8 million. Figure it out, man. But sure. Yeah, dude, Timo, you got to step up, because until we get Cap back, until we get Jackie back, like, you're the guy. And we need to see some two goal games. We need to see more apples. You need to earn that $8 million. Props to guys like Mercer, like, still hasn't, he finally put one in. I think he got an apple last night. He's taking some shots. Like, he's really slow to get going. Here's the thing, Joe. Sometimes I like to look at players, like the chats on their on our fantasy. So I was looking at Jesper's stats, because he didn't have a great game last night, and somebody was saying, "Oh, look at somebody who needs Jack Hughes," and I'm like, they don't play on the same line. So the Nico injury hurts Jesper Bratt more than the Jack injury does. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but by the way, yeah, like if you take a guy like Jack Hughes out of the lineup, yeah, the rest of the team is going to, I mean, again, you hope they step up, but it is going to take a second. So all that to say, you know, injuries suck, but you guys were a Stanley Cup favorite going, or, you know, at least contender going into the season. We have the depth. Show up, go out there, play hockey, and get it done. It sucks to lose those guys, but we are a good hockey club that we should have a better record than we do. So
I do want to go back and talk about the Minnesota Wild real quick. So, you know, having Jared Spurgeon and Goligoski out, like, those guys run your power play 1, power play 2. Not only that, like, those guys are both on the blue line, of course, but that's where any of your blue line points are coming from. They're coming from Spurgeon and they're coming from Goligoski. So having both those guys out right now on the IR really hurts the Wild, and you see it in the standings. They came back the other night against the Rags, which was awesome, and Fleury, oh my God, made it an amazing save in the shootout to win the game. But yeah, I mean, you're not getting the point production. Kirill hasn't shown up yet. I'm not sure what his issue is. He's playing with, now Marco Rossi, because I think Boldy was, he's not on the injury report now, but I think Boldy was hit or miss on the injury report too. And I can't even drop Kirill because he's my first round pick, but I want to drop him right now, truly. So yeah, speaking of another team that needs to step up and score goals, like, they're not doing it. And, you know, the goalies haven't been great either. I mean, Gus just got pulled the other night against the Rags. 3 goals on 4 shots. Like,
yeah.
And you just signed a big deal too, bud. So y'all need to pull your head out of your butts and do something about it. Again, we can talk all day about the dead cap situation. I mean, they're basically having playing with $15 million in dead cap. So imagine in the next 2 years when they actually have more money to play with, it should be a good time. But then again, when that comes, you can't choke. Like, so just because you can contend now with, being in that dead cap situation, maybe don't get too excited about not having that money, because then you really have to produce. But that's a whole other conversation. Another one I want to touch on, the Florida Panthers, Justin. We already knew that going into the season, Eric Ekblad was going to start on the IR. Brandon Montour is going to start on the IR. Again, 2 very important pieces on the blue line. Man, Sam Bennett was on the IR. He came back for 2 games, and now he's back on the IR. So another shot for the Florida Panthers. That really does stink, because Sam Bennett was kind of one of those guys that's going to get you, he's almost a point per game player generally. So having him go on the shelf now, again, you got to find your point production from somewhere else. But interesting enough, in the last 10, the Panthers are 6-3-1. So not terrible. They just having to fight and, kind of come out of the trenches all day, every day to start the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the next coming weeks.
This is the Panthers are one of those teams where it's like, despite all these injuries, despite everything you said, they've managed to keep themselves in, and that's going to be huge come the end of the season. Like, they may not have to scrap as hard like they did last year to get a playoff spot. They might be able to, because they're getting those wins early. So at the end of the year, like, if they can't gel quite right going, that last like month or so, they've kind of secured it here. You know what I mean? Like, whereas New Jersey is not getting those wins that they should be. So they're going to be scrapping all the way up to the end of the year. So it is, again, in Minnesota is clearly going to have to scrape. Like, they're going to have to scrape and claw to get back to the playoffs. Right now, I think they're somewhere around 500. New Jersey's above 500, but still, like, you've got a loss against Florida, you got a loss against Arizona, you got a loss against last night. Who did they lose to last night? Colorado, and St. Louis. Like, at least St. Louis for sure they should have beaten, even without Jackie. But for like, sure. Anyway, I didn't want to retreat in the. This is just to hammer home your point, like hammer home the point of they've gone out there with these injuries, and yet it just goes to prove like the system in Florida is big time. Like they're still finding ways to get it done. And just imagine what happens when they get those guys back.
It's going to be interesting to see if they're still in the fight. I do want to do a division. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but I do want to do a little division checkup when we're done with this conversation. I have two more real quick ones, and this is, I mean, the Washington Capitals. Nicholas Backstrom goes on LTIR because of his hip, stepping away from hockey. Man, it would have been really great, Backy, if you decided that you couldn't play it in the offseason, because that would have freed up $9 million in the cap that the Caps could have used for something. But so really, I mean, and it's fine. Like, he came back from hip resurfacing, which is the same thing that Patrick Kane had. So this could be indicative. We're kind of going on a side quest here. This could be indicative of maybe teams are a little bit more hesitant about signing Patrick Kane when he says he's ready. Well, yeah, are you? Like, Backy tried to come back, and obviously there's a few years difference in age, but that's a whole other conversation. But I just wanted to bring that up to kind of make a timestamp of it now on November 8th, 2023. But the reason why this Backstrom going on the injured reserve hurts the Caps a lot, not only that $9 million cap hit, but you already have essentially your spaces taken up now. Joel Edmondson is on the IR, Nick Dowd is on the IR, and Max Pacioretty was already on the IR. So now you have Backstrom on the IR. You only have so much space to put guys on the IR. I don't remember exactly. I feel like it is 4 spots can be used for IR or like salary. What am I trying to say? I can't think of the word right now because English. But like, you can only designate like those salary cap hits for certain things. They have, I forget what it is. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? I don't even know what I'm saying sometimes.
I got you.
Okay.
I mean, I think you also.
If you guys know, chirp at us at Barn Chirper Spot and tell me I'm stupid. But yeah, that Backstrom hit really hurts the Caps more. Again, we already knew that they weren't going to be competing this year. It's amazing that they actually have a couple of wins at this point, truly. And the last one I want to touch on, the Carolina Hurricanes. Freddie Anderson, wouldn't you know, is out once again with an injury, because we talked about it on the show. It was just a matter of time when he and or Raanta were going to get injured, because they're always injured. So your star goalie is injured. You have Raanta, and then a PTO, a paid tryout, was given to Yaroslav Halak, who has been around forever. Not sure why you're giving him a paid tryout, and you sent down Kochekov, who is lights out. Like, make him your guy and Raanta number 2. It's pretty simple to me, but I'm not a GM, so what do I know?
I mean, Kochekov has gotten some ice time this year, I believe. And when Freddie went down last year, he was Ranta's backup. So I don't understand how you don't just go ahead and ride him the rest of the season, especially we don't know how long Freddie's going to be out. So you already got a guy that you're priming to take the spot whenever Anderson and Raanta like ride off into the sun. So just I honestly, yeah. I'm completely confused on this. I have no idea what they're doing.
Neither do I. Okay, so I want to do this real quick because I have a couple of questions for you as well. So in the Metro, our division where our teams reside, number 1 is the New York Rangers, but cool. Number 8, Justin, is the Pittsburgh Penguins in last place in the Metro. So pass or shoot, Justin, the Pittsburgh Penguins being in last place in the Metro division at the end of this year. Do you think they're actually this bad of a team?
No. No. I pass. I'm going to pass because I got to imagine you just talked about your Caps. I got to imagine these injuries catch up to them, and I think somewhere around 500, they probably it all falls out from under them here soon. And they probably start showing like the real club that they are. Not to say that the Pens are much better than 8th, but I think they have probably more wins in them through the rest of the season than probably the Caps do. So at least they're above the Caps, probably, perhaps. But it's all up in the air, and that doesn't even take into account the team that just lost to the Sharks, the Philadelphia Flyers. Like if this loss completely deflates the Flyers and like they're flat the rest of the year, I think it's between probably those 3 teams. But hopefully for Pittsburgh fans, that's not real. But for us who don't like the Penguins, I hope it is.
Agreed. In the Atlantic, Boston is number 1, of course, 21 points. And then it goes Tampa Bay, Detroit, Toronto, Florida, Buffalo, Montreal, and Ottawa. After starting real hot, Ottawa is in last place in the Atlantic. Pass or shoot, Justin. The Ottawa Senators win. Let's see how many. Pause. Sorry, I should have thought of this ahead of time. Thanksgiving is in 10 days. So they play 4 times. Okay, so we'll say this. Right now, the Ottawa Senators are 4-6. So we have about a month and a half until the new year starts. So pass or shoot, Justin. Ottawa Senators have 15 wins by January 1st.
All right. So they got a month and a half to win 11.
Yep.
Oh. I mean, all I can go by is what they've shown us so far. I will say this before even answering the question. What a disappointment. This is 2 straight years they've come out and utterly disappointed. But if I recall correctly, last year they were slow to get out of the gate. I'm trying to think. So let's say, what is that? 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So they'd have to go something like 11-7. So that's slightly above 500. I'm gonna regret this, but I'm gonna go shoot. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna say they do go better than 500. They go 11-7 or thereabouts, and are at least at 15 wins come the new year. Woof.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Will it happen? Ooh, I don't know. I hope so though. I hope so. Moving on real quick because man, we're actually going long today. That's crazy. In the Western Conference, there Central Division. Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, and our boys at number 4, the Arizona Coyotes, Justin, with 13 points, 6-5-1 record right now. Pass or shoot, Justin. The Yotes end up at least in 3rd by January 1st. Let me rephrase this. Pass or shoot, the Yotes have a controlling lead of at least 3rd place heading into 2024. So they would have to jump Winnipeg, Winnipeg is 6-4-2. The Yotes right now are 6-5-1.
I'm gonna shoot on this because in the Coyotes games that I've watched versus Jets games that I've watched, the Coyotes just look like the better hockey team. Now, that supposes that they play each other, in that time frame, but I think the Coyotes play hockey that they can win, whereas really the Jets are just kind of hoping that Helly can keep them in the game and they can score some goals. It's like
that's accurate.
Yeah. So I think that the Coyotes play a more consistent brand of hockey than the Jets. So I'm going to shoot on that. I'm going to say the Coyotes pass the Jets.
I'm going to shoot on that as well. And here's another quick stat. So while Colorado is leading the division with 16 points, they're 8-3. They have a +7 goal differential. The only other team that is close to them is, wouldn't you know it, the Yotes with a +6 goal differential. So it's kind of only a matter of time, truly, because Dallas is +3, Winnipeg is even, everybody else is in the negative. So it's only a matter of time, truly. So I'm shooting all the way on that stat that they're going to control number 3. The last one here, as we know, Vegas is controlling the entire league right now with 23 points. But our boys, the Vancouver Canucks, the first star of the week, Number 2 in the Pacific, 9-2-1 with 19 points. As we talked about earlier, a plus 30 goal differential. That is 6 goals better than the Vegas Golden Knights. So pass or shoot, Justin, Vancouver continues to stay in second place behind Vegas moving into 2024. So again, about another month and a half. Essentially, the question really is pass or shoot. This streak continues for Vancouver.
All right. So I hate to play both sides here, but history tells me to pass and pass hard. Like do not go, do not accept this. That's what history says. And plus we're talking about Vegas here, but what do I want? I'm going to go with my heart here. I'm going to shoot. I want them to keep it up. I want to see them in there. I want them to stop being the gaslighting Canucks. I want them to be what they should be. And right now they're doing it on the ice. And until they do, just like Vegas last year, until they show me otherwise, I'm going with the Vancouver Canucks.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm shooting all the way on this. I'm fully on board with the boys doing that. So I want to touch on this because this is going to lead into our last conversation, our last segment of the day. The Calgary Flames are bottom of the Pacific with only 9 points, Justin. They have struggled so far this year. They have won the last 2 games. They beat Seattle 6-3, which they had to come back from. And they just beat Nashville last night 4-2, which they also had to come back from. But the important thing here, Justin, Jonathan Huberdeau benched in the third period of last game, so last night, because bro is not producing at all. A guy, and I mentioned the same superstar. This is another superstar check-in right now. Here right now, we didn't even talk about this. A guy that I've not really talked about in my chirping, but a guy who gets paid superstar money who has not shown up as a superstar since starting his contract this year. 12 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points, -12, Justin. Is that a superstar to you for $84 million?
No.
Absolutely not. No.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
I didn't realize it was that bad. Wow.
It's that bad. As a matter of fact, and I'm just going to go in the last 5 games, he had, and not counting last night because obviously he was benched in the third period, but he averages 20 shifts per game, so about 20 minutes of ice time. And same thing as we talked about with PLD. Let's see, 1 shot, 2 shots. The most shots he's taken all year is 5, and that was in the second game of the year. Otherwise, he takes 1 or 2 shots or no shots a game, Justin. That is not being a superstar.
No. How can you score goals if you're not shooting? Like, I know that is really like simplifying it, but look at McDavid's numbers. McDavid shoots the puck. Ovi shoots the puck. Like,
also, McDavid dishes the puck too.
Yeah, that if you aren't going to shoot, then you got to dish. Like, it is crushing to.
It's terrible.
I mean, not personally, but it is. You hear numbers like that, it's just like, bro, does somebody want to give me $8 million? Like, I'm doing about the same. I mean, I'm not going on the ice, but give me $8 million. I'll take it.
Sure. I mean, I could be dashed 10 for $8 million. I think. I'm at least going to go out there and throw some hits. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do something, block a shot. But so another guy, and that was your superstar check-in, number 3 of the show. Just killing it with those superstar check-ins today. But so we'll see what happens. I heard some rumblings of making him a healthy scratch, see if that changes anything. But I don't know, man. I mean, you got to show up. I mean, we talked about this, I think it was last week or the week before, about like Kadri. Kadri's starting to, in the last 2 games anyway, starting to heat up a little bit. So if he can heat up, there's at least that for the Calgary Flames to look forward to. But so far, not a great start for Calgary. And again, if we get to Thanksgiving, if we get to the start of December and they still haven't gotten over that 10-point mark, 15-point mark, you have a real hard uphill battle, especially in the Pacific with Vegas being good, Vancouver now being good. Who's going to take that third spot? You know what I mean? We would have said the Kraken, but they haven't really shown it yet. But our Anaheim being good. So Calgary's got to do something. I'm not sure what it is, but I think Huska, the new coach of Calgary, did the right thing by benching him for the third period. Like, you're not going to show up? Okay, you can sit.
Yeah. This isn't free skate. This isn't, hey, go take a couple laps out there, man. Like, this is, come play hockey, please.
Yeah. Go ahead and take a couple laps. You know what I mean? We're just paying you $8 million. So, all right. Should we pull the goalie here and get out of here?
Oh, yeah.
So one thing, speaking of the Calgary Flames, Andrew Mangiapane, so they were playing the Kraken and Jared McCann was on the ice, belly down, and Mangiapane cross-checks him in the back of the neck when he's on the ice and only gets a 1-game suspension. Did you see that or did you not see it?
I did. Yeah, I saw that. When you said something about it, it didn't register that it was Mangiapane that had done that. But yuck, man, come on. Let's not.
Yeah. So in the playoffs last year, Jamie Benn got 3 games in the playoffs for a similar hit. Mangiapane gets 1 game for this. Now, I like both guys, but that's intent to injure. Like, you could literally cripple somebody by doing that. That's honestly, truly, I think I would go as far, honestly, as saying you're done for the rest of the year. If Shane Pinto got 41 games for allegedly betting on something, which the NHL doesn't even, that's a whole other conversation, but Shane Pinto got suspended for 41 games for something that the NHL doesn't even truly know exactly how he's connected to this gambling scheme. And they gave him 41 games. Mangiapane cross-checked a guy's neck when he's face down on the ice, not in the play, and he gets 1 game. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Player safety is a joke in the NHL.
You said it right there. There's nothing to add here. Player safety is a joke in the NHL. Sucks, but that's reality.
Insane. Absolutely insane. So anyway, that's all I got. You got anything else, Cap?
No, that's all there is, I think.
That's the hockey game. So we have been, and we are the Barn Chirpers. Again, you can follow us on the Instagram and the threads at Barn Chirpers Pod. Like, subscribe, share with a friend or a foe, wherever you're listening or watching. We would appreciate that. Next week, maybe you got another sweater reveal next week, right?
Yes, I do. One more.
Ooh, okay. We can't wait to play the sweater reveal game to kick off the show next week. Stay tuned for that. And nothing else, Stick Taps and Sellies, boys, clap it up.
Yeah.